Hello, extreme programming. What is extreme programming? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about this amazing methodology of Agile to address the way we code software, the way we build software. The main focus of XP is to build software in such a way that it is easy for us to add new things into software once it becomes more and more complex. It addresses the issues of reusability and the challenge that we face with using the same code. It talks about how we can be agile by working on small units of code. In this video, we'll learn about what is XP, the details of XP methodology, how it is different from Scrum and how it is more similar to Scrum, what are the similarities. We'll also see how XP teams work. Towards the end of this video, I am putting a mind map for you to understand what is XP. Okay, so it summarizes everything about XP in that particular original slide. So stay on, watch this video. It will help you understand a lot about XP frameworks and you can start using this particular methodology on your projects. Let's get started. So what is the primary focus of XP? The primary focus of XP is programming in a nice way. It is about writing code in such a way that it can be again and again expanded and new models could be added easily and can be scaled. The code can be scaled. The issues can be addressed. There are many things like it addresses the technical debt on the particular software, right? So the primary focus, if anyone is asking, of XP is programming in a nice way. The primary focus of Scrum was to deliver projects. The primary focus of Kanban was to manage processes once everything goes to production. So XP's focus is programming. So how do XP teams work? Let's try to understand this. So let's see these people who have to put more focus on working in the code. So there should be some difference at least in the way they're working, some their behaviors, right? So let's see what are these things. First and foremost thing, XP says the teams need to be co-located. People need to sit next to each other and work. So that this co-location helps a lot for them in having some clarifications done, in seeking guidance, in osmotic communications, right? When people talk something important, though you're not part of the discussion, you get to know more things about the project, right? So having the teams co-located is very important. Yeah, we had the pandemic, we had people working remotely, we had virtual meetings, yes, but still it is better to work together. This also goes back to one of the agile principles in which it says information sharing is done best with face-to-face communication. So first thing is XP teams need to be seated co-located and then work together. Like I was having a particular team when working in services organization as a project manager. Over there I have got like 7 or 8 developers and we are working on a big data project. So all of them used to sit together and work, and it was so easy for me to take care of things and address the issues, solve the problems, because the co-location helped us a lot. Back then work from home option was not an option, right? But people used to come work together. It actually helped us in improving the productivity. Also later on in COVID, we went remote, we had to come on Zoom meeting and work. Yes, that also helped us, but nothing like working next to your teammate and understanding how to do things faster, because XP talks about a very important concept called paired programming. We'll look into that a little later. For that, people need to be seated together when they're working to get faster feedback. Let's move forward. So next thing XP says that now that you're sitting co-located, okay, we're not going to spoon feed or like do some babysitting with you. We expect you to be self-organized. We expect the XP teams to be self-organized, pick up the work and then do it. They're not going to sit and wait, okay, you come and you assign me some work, then I will do it. No, it's not like that. Okay, XP teams are assumed to be self-organized. That's the goal, right? The goal of Agile is also what? I've been repeating all the videos, right? Become self-organized and greater collaboration. So we expect people to pick up work and then start doing this in XP. So co-location, self-organizing, the things on the XP board or the task board we have, people go see there. Once the task is completed, they pick up the next task and then they go. Okay, XP teams will have an energized work environment. So what do you mean by this, having an energized work environment? An energized work environment is wherein the amount of work that we can do is done at a sustainable pace, right? It is not like you're working for 60 hours, 70 hours every week. That is not sustainable, right? When something's sustainable, you're working for like 40 hours a week. And then so yes, there will be sometimes peak when there's a launch or something. There are escalations. Okay, one day you stretch a bit or 2 days, but not like every week you're doing like 55 to 60 hours of work. That is going to burn down the development team. or the testing team, everybody, right? I've seen many organizations make these mistakes. Usually, some of these startups also make these mistakes, that by stretching the people, it doesn't help. It is not a sustainable way of working. That is not an environment that is like quite excited or energized. People are there. People get tired. People get fatigued. Most of us have gone through this, right? So XP says we will work humanly, we will work in a sustainable pace. Again, going back to one of the agile principles that says that we have to code in a sustainable way, and even the sponsors, the developers, the customers, everybody need to be involved, and that's the agile thinking, agile mindset we have. XP teams need to have an accelerated work environment, and the most important thing for that is, first thing is the sustainable pace, and then comes collaboration, and then other things. But this is very important to have a sustainable pace. XP teams need to be more cohesive. What do we understand this? XP teams need to be more cohesive. So by being more cohesive, it means that we have to have greater bonding between the teammates, because both these people are going to do something called as pair programming. Four eyes sitting and looking on a piece of code and giving feedback to each other, and okay, this needs to fix this needs to come here. Okay, probably we are pushing the data in the wrong way, probably we are calling wrong call, right? So probably use different API, or like move this structure over here, move this code over there, right? We have to sit, two people are sitting seeing the same piece of code, so they have to be having more cohesiveness. Imagine two people have fought and are asking them for, okay, you have done your piece, move, I'll do my piece. No, that doesn't work out. I can't work with this person. No, the first thing that the coach should be doing is to enforce collaboration among these people, right? Next, let's go ahead. Okay, XP teams need to communicate well. We already spoke this. One of the values in XP is communication. People have to talk a lot, because they have to have the collaboration. They have to give feedback. XP takes a faster feedback. The fastest feedback that we can get is through XP, and that happens in seconds, like this. And that is happening through pair programming. Nowhere else we get this faster feedback within seconds, right? So XP helps us with fast. So people have to communicate. Pair programs to people talking on a piece of code, giving feedback to each other, right? So next, XP teams need to plan better. So what XP teams do is they take a piece of a goal, like a theme. They call it as theme in XPs, a quarterly goal for 12 weeks, and then they will have small weekly goals. So they need to plan better. Okay, because you're going to write the code in such a way so that it's going to be helpful for future. So XP teams do planning for a quarter, and they deliver or demo every week. Next point, XP teams seek more feedback. They get faster feedback. They get feedback from pair programming. They get feedback from the builds which they do. They get feedback when they merge the codes into the CI/CD pipeline. When they resolve conflict, they get feedback through unit testing. Lot of ways of giving feedback, not only from the user when it's coming to the demo. The XP teams get feedback from the automated systems, from the automation, they get a lot of feedback. So many ways people get feedback, and it is going back to the empirical process: inspect, adapt, and then transparency. So people inspect, they get feedback, they adapt the feedback, and then they're going to do it better. Going back to the agile mindset of empirical process, wherein things become emergent with way, we learn from our own mistakes, right? So this feedback helps a lot. So XP teams seek a lot of feedback. So last thing on XP, as I told you, to summarize all of this, why are we doing all of this? So that we ensure that we do the great behavior of pair programming. We do pair programming, we get faster feedback, and then we build better softwares. Okay, so like there was one of the project I was working in an organization wherein like there was a very complex piece of code. At that time, we applied XP's pair programming. We put two people on the same piece of code, and then we kind of refined the code. We refactored the code. We removed the insecurities. We removed the technical debt. We also restructured the code, right? We also ensured the performance was great. We did all of this when people started working together on one piece of code, right? In pairs of twos. So all that helps. So XP programming is successful because we do, the focus is on improving the way we program, the way we code, and that's called as pair programming. Next, now coming to the values of XP. XP has got five values. XP has got 5 values. So what are these 5 values? Let's try to understand these in detail. The first value that XP talks about is simplicity. Simplicity is like when you are coding, right? You just code what is needed. You will not add extra features. You will not build anything until the last minute, until unless the need comes in. It also goes back to the agile principle, says that simplicity is the art of maximizing the work not done. You will not give unnecessary features to the customer. You will not do gold plating. So the first value XP says is we will work what is needed. If this one just first thing is needed, we'll just work on the first simple thing, right? Then we'll give you more enhancements. Okay. when you come and ask us. Until unless the customer doesn't ask us, we're not going to do that. Until unless there's no need for the user or the product for that particular feature, we're not going to build it. Next thing is make complex code into smaller pieces. XP says simplicity, talks about how do you make code simple. Next thing is on the way we code also, right? We take complex piece of code, we make it into smaller units, and each unit is doing a particular task. So that tomorrow I have to go and scale the code. I don't have to have the issue of getting into complex code of reusing the same thing. Usually developers have the habit of reusing the same code. But if you have particular modules fixed for a particular unit, it will help a lot. So break down the bigger code in smaller units of code. It will be easier for you in a later time to build and scale the software better. Okay, then refactoring. Refactoring is very important. Like we used to run sonar reports on the particular builds we have, and then we used to find out what are the insecurities, what are the vulnerabilities, what is the SQL injection issue, what are the security issues, what are the performance issues, right? So all of this we used to do that. So refactoring of the code is important so that we have to do it in a better way, right? Like for example, one of the pieces of code is not able to download reports. Then we figured out that we have written the code in such a way that everything is going, the data is being moved into the memory. So it's not going to help us. So we have to refactor that code, right? So refactoring is very important. Next point. So block times to refactor in the Slack, right? For example, in the quarterly release we must block dedicated time, at least 2 days to refactor the entire code. Right? If you're talking about a week, at least 3 hours a week, we should refactor time for refactoring. Like in one of the organizations where I was working, we had a client and the client told, yes, you can use this time in this sprint to just refactor the code so that we remove the technical debt. Okay, so usually XP teams, what they do is for a quarterly release, they refactor some time for, they keep some time for refactoring, and this is usually called a Slack, or they keep some minor changes in Slack. So the simplicity comes by refactoring the code again and again. Next, so as I told you, we'll address the technical debt also in the refactoring, and then finally, don't build until it's needed. As I told you, that's the first point. So simplicity means we will not build the code unless and until it is needed. So that's your first value in XP that talks about simplicity. Next, respect. XP says that the people who work over there need to be respected. There have to be a lot of collaboration among people. So first thing is respect. You have to give respect to your teammates. You have to listen to them. When people come and give you their views and share their views, you have to listen. You have to respect. If you are giving them feedback, you have to give it in a respectful manner. You cannot put derogatory comments. You cannot snub people. You cannot become autocratic out there. You have to be a servant leader. You have to understand things, right? So respecting people, their opinion, their views, the way they are working. Yes, if there are issues, then there is a way to give feedback. So the next value XP says is respect. We need to respect each other when we are working, because only then it's a greater work environment, an energetic work environment where people like to come and work every day. Okay. Next, courage. XP teams also exhibit the next value called as courage. By courage, we mean that people exhibit courage by taking up challenges, by calling out issues if there are some blockers. So these are the things that XP teams have to do. So they have to call out these things when there is happening an issue on the project. Okay, and then if there are impossible goals, like you are asking somebody to do something that takes 5 months in 2 months, they should have the courage to come and speak out. When they're giving feedback to the teammates, they feel that it's important for them to give feedback. They have to have the courage to give the feedback. So this is also one of the values in XP, giving feedback and then courage, right? So having courage is very important for them to work on the project, to give feedback with their teammates, with the customer, with the leaders, with the stakeholders. You should exhibit courage when you're working on projects in an XP team. The next one is communication. So communication is very important. Let's try to understand what all do we have under communication. In communication, we are talking about how are we increasing the communication? We are increasing the communication by having the teams seated next to each other. So the teams are co-located. When the teams are co-located, the communication increases. There's osmotic communication also, right? Then osmotic communication is like you're sitting there, working over there, and somebody comes and talks about something important about the project, or some issue on the project, or some new feature coming to the project. So you get that information by just being available in the co-located place. So osmotic communication also helps. Then information radius. When people are seated co-located, if you have the task boards in front of them, people can just stand there and then talk to each other about their particular task they're doing. They can have the daily stand-ups over there and have some discussions. Like this is again going back to the agile value, individuals and interactions or process and tools. So the process and tools is over here, the practice which I have put. the practice of standing in front of the Scrum board and talking, and the value of individual interactions, right? So that's the important part. So people are talking with this particular Jira board or the Scrum board or whatever board we have, the task board we have in XP. So people come, stand there and talk, right? So that also communication is very, very key value, because we have to talk in front of the task boards. Next, pair programming. So the next part of the communication is the pair programming. When people sit and work together, they have to do pair programming, so they have to talk to each other. Imagine two people working as pair programming, one doesn't talk to, like, okay, what do you think about this code? Like, I don't know. Why should I tell you? Can't you figure it out? Why do you keep always asking me? That is not the way we do pair programming. You have to talk to people, and if you talk, you're not going to talk in this way, which I just gave some examples, right? So there has to be communication. There has to be a lot of communication on XP teams, right? So communication is one of the key values. Next thing is, so also we need to ensure that we are avoiding interruptions, right? We don't want people, the team to get disrupted, to be disturbed, right? We have to kind of be a shield somewhere and then stop those interruptions. So that's about the communication value. Let's go to the next value. It's called as seeking feedback. Okay, this is very, very nice, because the ways of getting feedback in XP is very, very good. Let's try to see how many ways are we trying to get feedback in XP. So frequent verifications. So what are the ways of getting feedback or doing frequent verifications in XP? So the first and foremost thing is pair programming. That happens in like seconds. Within seconds you get feedback, right? So pair programming. The next thing is unit testing. So once your code is ready, you're going to validate the code, you are doing some unit testing as a developer. So this you can feedback you can get within 10 minutes. Then you have got 10 minutes built. So customer collaboration. So if you're getting feedback from customer, you're asking some understanding, some details from the customer, this also could be done within hours. Then stand-up meetings. Stand-up meetings are held every day. So every day you get a feedback from your teammates, from yourself, or what are you doing right, what are you not on the track. If you need some help, do some course corrections. So even the stand-up meeting help you get feedback within 1 day. Then you have got acceptance tests. Acceptance tests also give you feedback within few days. Once the code is delivered in UAT, after the QA is done, goes to customer for UAT. The customer will come back in a couple of days and says, boss, what you made is right, but I need this alignment to be done like this, or this format, the logo needs to be changed, or this particular button, the logic is incorrect, the decimal place is not coming up. So those kind of feedbacks you can get from the customer within days. Then demos. Within a week, every sprint, every iteration, there is a weekly iteration, you can demo and get feedback from the customer. So many points of frequent verification. You should be seeing this on your screen. Okay, releases. Then frequent releases, the release could be happening once in quarter and get feedback, or take a month also, right? So these are the ways of getting feedback in XP. So much of feedback improves the quality of the software. The valuable software is going to be a working software that's going to help the people. So much feedback, so much course correction is going to actually increase the value of the software, the quality of the software. Okay. Next thing, frequent verification. Some more wireframes. People make wireframes of the screens which you have to build. That's also good way of seeking feedback. Then integrating code with the CI/CD pipeline. When there are conflicts, we get feedback. Then again, continuous integration, as I told you. Then again, we are kind of merging the builds. Every 10 minutes build is there. If you're having those things set up, everyone on the team needs to have access to run this build. Again, then you're getting feedback. Then spikes are like a weekly iteration where you want to go and check one particular concept that you want to try. Whatever the POCs, the POC may pass or fail, but the spike is successful because you've got feedback. Okay, so many ways of seeking feedback. See, it's very important for us to seek feedback to improve the way we are developing the software. So as I told you, finally, with all these things, the goal of XP is to build better code. Okay, now I will talk to you about what are the similarities between XP and Scrum. Okay, but I already told you why do you have two different methodologies, XP and Scrum. XP focuses on programming, Scrum focuses on projects. But XP and Scrum do have some similarities. Let's look into those similarities. Okay, so XP has got weekly cycles. Every week there's a demo. There's a theme like the goal in Scrum. Okay, and then after that it's iterative. XP is iterative and XP is incremental. What is the difference between iterative and incremental? Let me help you understand that. This could be a question on some competitive examinations also, right? People get confused. Iterative, what is iterative? What is incremental? Iterative is, let's say you have got a particular use case. The use case cannot be developed in 5 days. It takes you 20 days, 4 weeks, 2 sprints or 4 iterations of 1 week sprint. Okay, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. After 4 weeks of working, then you get some feedback from the customer. Then you move to production. After 4 iterations, The code is going into production. This is called iterative way of development. Within one single iteration, when the code is moved to production, it's called incremental. After 4 iterations, when the code goes to production, the code or the software becomes incremental. New features added, it becomes incremental code. Whenever release happens, it is an incremental. If the release happens in 1 week, it is an incremental release. If the release happens after 4 weeks, it is iterative development and then the increment happens. Clear? When we go to production, it is an increment. When we are getting ready to go to production in 3 or 4 steps, those are called iterations. 3 or 4 sprints are called 3 or 4 iterations before the production launch. Clear? Okay. So XP is iterative, XP is incremental. Then XP also uses stories like our Scrum. Then XP has got demos. Okay. This is also like Scrum. So XP roles. So XP has got 4 roles. One is called as a customer, one is called as the coach, one is called as a developer, one is called as a tracker. So coach is the guy who's there to kind of ensuring people are living the XP values. A tracker is the person who's ensuring they're getting the things done. Okay, and customer is, as you know, customer is going to give the feedback, and developer is also there. Developer is also going to give us work on the development with the testing team. Okay, next. When to use XP? So we use XP when there's a dynamically changing environment of software requirements. Okay, complex, cohesive, uncertainty, empirical, inspect, adapt, when all this is needed, we use XP. Okay, then we have small and co-located teams, then also we use XP. Then technology allows for automated unit and functional test cases to be run, then also we use XP. So these are the times when we are going to use XP. Okay, I've told so many things. We can use as many practices as possible, but see what is feasible for you and start using that. You may not need all, but if you're doing it well and good, but you can use most of these and then start working on XP in your projects. So before I go towards the similarities between XP and Scrum, I'm just putting this mind map to help you understand, summarize whatever we have learned. We learned about the XP teams. XP teams are co-located. XP teams are collaborative. They are cohesive. XP teams work in pair programming. XP teams have a lot of communication. So this is how the XP teams work. The focus of these XP teams is to embrace change so that we deliver a good working software. The focus is to deliver better quality of code. That is the primary focus of XP. Then XP is also like Scrum in few things, like they are also having roles. Then they also have themes and iterations. There are quarterly themes and weekly iterations in XP. Then XP also uses something called a Slack in their quarterly releases, which is a simple task or refactoring task, which we want to put some time to ensure that we enhance a refactor and we kind of improve the quality of code. We remove the technical debt. Okay, then we looked about the 5 XP values. One was the communication, the next was simplicity, and then after that we had respect, we had courage, and then we had one more value called as feedback, right? Getting feedback. We saw like so many ways of getting feedback in XP. Every minute, like pair programming is there, unit testing is there, and then after conflict management, then a use case, then user feedback, then UAT, then after builds, right? So many ways of getting feedback in XP. Okay, so XP teams, what do? They have got 4 roles. They've got a developer, a tracker, a coach, and a customer. So this is all in all about XP. So now let's see what are the similarities between XP and Scrum. Okay, so XP has got weekly cycles, themes, iterative, incremental, user stories, and demos. And they have got something called a Slack. We know this. Similarly, what does Scrum has? Scrum also has got like weekly cycles. They've got sprints, a 2-week sprint, 3-week sprint, or a 4-week sprint. Then Scrum also has got sprint goals like the themes in XP. Then it is also iterative. Scrum is iterative, incremental, and user stories and demos are there in Scrum. So these are the similarities between XP and Scrum. Okay. Then XP roles, we spoke customer, coach, developer, tracker. I'm just repeating. Similarly, in Scrum, we have got roles like PO, we have got Scrum Master, and the development team. I've recorded a separate video on all these roles in Scrum. You can watch that video and get to know roles in Scrum. So XP values, we saw that there are 5 values: respect, courage, feedback, simplicity, and communication. These are the 5 values. Of these values, 2 are similar in Scrum. We have respect, we have courage in Scrum, and then we have got focus, openness, and commitment. So these are the values which are there between Scrum and XP. So as you see, like these were the similarities between XP and Scrum, the differences between Scrum. But XP we saw like being used to ensure the way we code. Okay, so if you want to improve working on a complex software, you want to make the software scalable, you want to solve bigger problems, adopt XP. If you want to embrace change, if you want to get faster feedback on a co-located team, there's got very technical stuff to be done, right? Then we use XP. Okay, so thank you for watching my video. This is Arham Faraaz. Please do like, subscribe and share my channel. Comment on my channel. Please share this video. Bye bye.